Welcome back, everybody, to another insightful episode of Creatives Chat, part 2 of the Emerald Spiral Expo. Join us as Peter chats with everybody he can find in this expo. Our show begins now.
Oh, I love it.
Streaming from Retro Earth Studio and brought to you by
WeAreHistorically.com, Conscious Brand Apparel, and
Learn to play jazz piano like a pro, by a pro, with Jazz Piano Pro Essentials at jazzpianopro.com.
Welcome to Emerald Spiral. So what brings you here?
So I have actually been coming here for years. Emerald Spiral is one of the bigger shows in the area, as I'm sure you and maybe some of your viewers know.
Oh yeah.
But I come here usually to help out my partner, who is Todd Rolson. He does Living Light Alchemy Designs.
Ooh.
You should talk to him too.
Oh, definitely.
His work is absolutely
Definitely.
phenomenal. Go check him out, toddwilson.com. I'm here today I'm going to be doing readings, but in concert together, Todd and I do work together, healing and psychic work together under Healing Council.
Ooh.
Yes.
Okay, I like that.
And actually, we're really excited because just last week was 1 year of us launching Healing Council.
Wow.
It was
Congratulations.
a pandemic launch.
I was gonna say, like, right when it hit.
Yeah, right when it hit, it was like, oh, well, let's go deeper, right? And that's what healing's about.
And that's the exciting thing, though, is that I feel like a lot of the healers, the light workers, those that are tapped into spirit and just the intuitional wavelengths, we could say, got activated, where it was just like the call to action was now, and then all of a sudden the dark things all started happening, the lockdowns, the sadness associated with that. But I think we see this beautiful shining light where people are focusing on healing and uplifting and empowering.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah, and honestly, I would say that they're not separate, right?
Yeah.
Like the lockdown is many, many things. Like the pandemic has been many, many things. And honestly, for me, in the work that I do and the connections that I have in spirit and the people and beings that I work with, it's been a mode of excitement because this whole lockdown has been challenging. Let's not minimize that.
Yeah.
But it has also been an opportunity for many people to reevaluate who they are.
Yeah, exactly.
And getting a new kind of perspective and understanding on who they are and what they're actually really capable of.
Yeah,
Right?
I vibe with that.
So it's laid the groundwork for a lot of people to realize and recognize the level of expansion that is possible and able to be achieved, which is absolutely phenomenal. And I know so many people who had that moment of panic and then they're like, well, I now have so much time to really thrive and
figure it out. If not, like
yeah. It's not always like that though, you know? Like we all spend days on the sofa and that's part of nurturing ourselves too, right? It's been heavy.
Contraction, relaxation, you gotta have the two.
Yeah, it has been heavy, but it has also been an opportunity, and so we took advantage of that opportunity.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of your work and your practices, what is your, I guess you would say, metaphysical wheelhouse that you specialize in?
My metaphysical wheelhouse. I work for Source.
Love it.
Source is my employer. That's my alignment. My wheelhouse is my higher self. When we began the Healing Temple, we had Healing Council, we had so much energy and excitement from Spirit for this work. They began to build what we consider a temple in etheric realms. And there's so many etheric helpers and beings from all over with different skill sets that have come in to aid this work.
Yeah.
So my wheelhouse has become very closely tied to healing counsel. So the way that I read is always moving energy, and it's always bringing in information for what is pertinent in the moment for whomever I'm talking to. And that's healing in and of itself, because that information is keys that can unlock doors of understanding, which is always healing.
Yeah.
In healing sessions, it goes deeper. I mean, when we have that access, you know, the Akashics kind of open, right?
Yeah.
All those contracts that are stored are open, and you would not believe, every time we work with a client, every time I work with a client, you never know what can of worms you're opening.
Right.
Somebody could be like, oh, I've got this issue with my knee, and I just keep hitting it, you know. I don't know what's going on. It's always the same thing. I keep injuring it over and over again. I'm like, okay, you need to talk to your mom, right? You know, and it's so fascinating how deep even the most simple things can go. And that was a very light example, but this particular client was also 12.
Well, I guess that's one of the things too, is that it never ceases to amaze me how certain past, I guess you would say, imprints or vibrations or just like experiences really just manifest and echo and ripple throughout their present life. And just seeing that and just knowing that the solution's somewhere a lot deeper, and it's definitely internal, is always a very interesting thing.
Well, that's why we're here, isn't it?
Yeah.
To carry all that past experience forward so that we can really come full circle, understand it, and
transmute that.
Transmute, that's a good word, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's so cool. In terms of the healing counsel, and what was the biggest inspiration for you guys to recognize that it's not just one facet or focal point of healing, that we can incorporate numerous fields and create a cohesive kind of practice to uplift and heal? Loaded question.
So much. I mean, it just has felt like over this past year, we reach these pinnacles where it's like, okay, we've finally figured out a new system. This is the thing that is going to work.
Life.
You know, whether it's like a new frequency system or clearing system or whatever. Like, we have many, many, many tools that we've developed in energy to help release these patterns and release these stagnant, you know, beliefs or whatever it is that needs to be healed. And then the next week it's like, oh good, you think you've got it figured out. Let me show you.
Definitely.
We never stop, right? And I think that's so important, because how can we as people really help each other if we're not willing to actually like learn and continue to realize that we don't know. We don't know everything. We don't know it all. Like, I work for Source. Like, I am a psychic. I am very good at what I do.
I love it.
I don't know anything. I don't know anything until I sit down and I need to know it.
That right there, that needing to know and just being able to be present enough and still enough to acknowledge it, those intuitional knowings, the downloads, the message received.
Yeah.
When was your first real kind of aha moment that is like, there's way more to this than what I currently know, and I need to start listening to that intuitiveness?
When?
Yeah, like when was there?
Once a month. You know, once a month, every other month. It's like, oh.
I mean, hey, technically it's tapped in. Psychic abilities are on point then. But I guess we'll rephrase the question a little bit in terms of the life process and the timeline of, you know, this experience.
Yeah.
When was the moment that you knew that, like, I need to develop these skills. I need to really dive deeper into Source.
Ever since I was a little girl, right? I have been pushing. My family does not understand what I do or why, but they love me for it, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, I don't get it, but I'm really glad that you're excited about this, and I'm so happy that you guys are really doing well. And that's so wonderful to have that support, but there's just not really any comprehension of, you know, what I do, except sometimes I'll say something and my mom will look at me like, how did you know? Like, I don't know. But, you know, when I was a little girl, I was always like really interested. I wanted to buy a Ouija board because I wanted to see what that was like, and I bought like little like fairy spell books, and my mom just freaked out. They had to stay outside overnight and go back to the store the next day, right? But it was always that curiosity. Like when I was a teen and young adult, I kept trying to find this connection with spirit through going with friends to their churches. Every faith, right?
Yeah.
You know, I would try anything. I would be accepting and want to learn about God. I would want to learn about God.
Yeah.
You know, I tried reading the Bible. I really couldn't do it, but
Just that intuitional knowing, like, a good chunk of this is man-made.
well,
That source. What's all this stuff in here?
no, I mean it wasn't that. Like, I mean, there's gems in there, right?
Definitely.
But I would rather read Tolkien. I would rather read Tolkien and Heinlein.
Nothing wrong with that.
I'm just, you know, go down the sci-fi nerd and, you know, the Marvel universe and the work that I do now relates so closely with what's going on in the Marvel universe. I just find that, like, there's so many themes there that I'm like, oh, remember when Thanos did this? And I'm like, that's what we're looking at right now. Like, it just totally keys off ideas, right? It's all about ideas and ways of finding new perspectives.
Powerful.
But anyway, so it's like always been something that I've been hunting and searching for. I took a tarot class. I was part of a small group that met every week, and we would study the Gnostic texts, and we would read tarot, and we would really learn and go deep into self. And I did that every week for years. You know, I would go to group meditations, and I've been to a couple of seances. Not really my favorite thing. Not to say they're all an experience, but
It wasn't resonating with you as much as some of the other.
And it's just all about that. It's like finding out and exploring and figuring out what resonates with you.
Yeah.
Which everything that I tried, tarot, dowsing rods, like anything, the pendulum, they're all tools. Yeah. And they're like training wheels.
Right? To get you to tap in at all times and just know.
And so there's nothing, you know, inherently good or bad about any tool. It's just a matter of how you use it, how you learn from it, and how you grow through that, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So it's all different colors in the crayon box, and
I love it.
And now I just paint with light, and it's great.
And that right there is a beautiful expression, paint with light. What brought you to the point where you were finally comfortable with your practices and your just knowing of self and your connection with source that you were just like, this is it? Like, I'm finally understanding the role that I have here.
So I love your question because you're always hunting for that definitive aha.
Well, it's a sense of, was there any moment where you finally had that? Because I've always seen that in terms of like the healer's path, that there was a moment where they finally accepted and like called out for what they wanted. And then life was just like, all right, they did it. They said the thing, and then they kick out the red carpet. It's just like opportunity, events,
so
new
for
experiences.
Me, and I feel like for a lot of people, the calling out for what you want is not the same as the aha of realizing that it's here.
Ooh, I love that.
Right?
I love that, yeah.
The calling out for what you want and then spirit coming around and saying, all right, here we go. And then you go on the roller coaster and you're like, oh no.
This is not what I want. I did not think it was going to play out like this.
Right? It's often, you know, the cliche of like hindsight is 2020 or at least 2015, right? Is so relevant because I had been calling out my whole life and continually clearing and realizing, oh gosh, there is more to that. Oh gosh, I actually do have some skills, and oh gosh, those feelings and that heaviness I'm feeling wasn't even mine, and what does that mean, and how do I work with that? Like, it's a continual, it's a continual opening, and it's a continual blossoming. Years ago, I sometimes, and this is different for everyone, this is just my journey, right? Like, I am neither promoting nor negating this path for any person. It's all
full disclosure.
It's all full disclosure. You do you. This is how I've done me. But years ago, I met a woman. Todd, my partner, actually met her first, and then came home and told me about her. And he's like, this woman is a Convo practitioner, and immediately just chills, and I'm like, I need to do Convo. I didn't even know what it was. Turns out it's an Amazonian tree frog poison that's created, and the way that it's administered it is the gates in the skin and everything. So I worked with her, and I did Convo, and that was a lot of opening for me. I worked with her for 3 years, and then the way that I came to Convo is like that frog called me. I would have dreams. I would have waking dreams. I would just constantly feel like, oh, it's time for another ceremony. It's time. Meanwhile, digging my heels in, like, oh, look it up, Convo. It's an ordeal, but it's beautiful, evolving, conscious energy. And then I got the call to go become a practitioner. So I 3 weeks ahead of time, digging in my heels again. Like, I am an ox sometimes. I do not move quickly. And then I move really quickly, and then I look back and I'm like, oh my God, how did that even happen? But anyway, there's a lot of stubbornness here. I think a lot of people can relate in their own journeys.
Definitely.
But I 3 weeks until training, I booked a ticket to South Africa. I went to South Africa for 3 weeks. I did my practitioner training there, and that's, where you really learn a lot about yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
100%.
I had a yoga teacher one time tell me years ago that she practices for her students and she teaches for herself. Right?
Love that. Well, it's the mutual healing. It's that process of like really being able to understand a concept fully that you can explain it to a child. Like, you don't really know something until you can really boil it down to its essence, and then through that refinement process,
Simplicity.
it's always so beautiful just to see the
Truth is simple.
Yes. We overcomplicate
love
life.
Is simple.
Yeah. I love it.
It's an act of power.
That's the source tapped in. I love it. I vibe with it.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Feels good.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, it's the natural expression of what we are as children, and we seemingly forget, and then we're just returning back to that state of just pure knowing, and it's with the wisdom, obviously, of inexperience, but it's a beautiful dance that this life has really kind of opened up. And I think when I see events like this, it really gives me hope for people that, like, more people are waking up. It's awesome to see.
Yeah, and I think it's beautiful and it's wonderful that, people come here, people come here as vendors and they practice their craft.
Yeah.
And you learn so much doing that.
100%. Oh.
Right?
Well, is there any other special shout-outs that you'd like to give for our audience, for your own work, for the Healing Council, for anything else?
Yeah.
Do it up. Floor is yours.
My special shout out is to every single person who listens to this podcast, who watches this podcast. Honor yourself.
Ooh.
Begin to love yourself.
Fully.
Begin to listen to your heart. Begin to feel the song of the world around you. Because you're beautiful and you can do miracles. Every single person has access to the love of Source. 100% of the time.
That's all there is.
That's the biggest shout out I could possibly give.
Yeah.
Trust yourself.
Yeah. Fall in love with yourself. And it all unfolds.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh, thank you so much for coming on Creative
Thank
Chat.
you.
We'll definitely have to have you on a future show. I think that'd be super fun.
Oh, that would be hilarious.
Yeah.
We can talk about the end game.
There you go. All right, man. So what brings you to the Emerald Spiral?
Oh, so what brings me here?
Yeah.
Well, I guess to really, we come down here because I really wanted to connect with all my people. So when I first started doing the shows, Emerald Spiral was one of the first ones that I did. So now I know at least half the vendors on a first name basis. So I just came down here to reconnect, and then we brought our wares down here to sell.
Right, I was gonna say you got quite a bit, yo. I love it.
Copper energy tools.
Now, how did you get into all this in terms of the crystals, the energy tools?
So my wife, before she was my wife, she used to do flea markets all the time.
Oh,
and
wow.
She'd always go and she would set up, and she would do like buy and sell clothing and vintage and, and just cool stuff, right? And I'm like, man, that's not a bad way to make some money.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do it also, so I learned how to do wire wrapping by watching YouTube videos.
There you go.
I watched some YouTube videos, I made some wire wraps, and I set a little tiny table up right next to her at one of her flea markets. I sold some stuff, and I was like, yeah, I think I can do this. And over the years, we just started doing it more and more. And now this is our thing now. We do crystals, we do minerals, we do energy tools, we do wands. My wife, she's also she's an intuitive. She calls herself a spiritual motivator.
Interesting.
So
There you go.
really gets people back on track. That's what we do now.
I love it how it lines up though. So in terms of just like the getting the crystals, bringing them to the shows, when was that moment that you're just like, oh yeah, I'm dabbing into crystals. We're gonna take that leap.
So,
it's a whole wheelhouse.
So I did wire wrapping and I did the copper. For years. My wife is the one that got us into actually like buying and selling crystals.
Yeah, it's like the bulk.
Like who doesn't like crystals? Like we have crystals everywhere. Our house is filled with them.
Yeah.
This is the way we can be around them all the time.
Right.
And you know, the thing about crystals is that they're beings. They have energy.
There you go.
They have personalities.
Yes.
They bring something to us. Their frequency affects us.
Yeah.
So we can take all these crystals and we actually feel good about what we do because we're helping to spread this out to other
100%.
people everywhere. And just being around this stuff starts to change the way people think and starts to change the way people live. Just being around the crystal mineral kingdom, I guess. So.
And I guess that's a question that is just like, when did that really wake up within you that you're just like, oh wow, there is actually something to this? Like,
well, growing up, my father was really into energy work. He was an energy worker. He practiced
so
Qigong,
awesome.
and he had a counseling and energy work practice.
Yeah, so there you go.
As a kid, I was around it a lot. I hit my teenage years, and I was like, okay, I gotta be cool now. I can't be into this.
Can't be carrying rocks around in my pockets.
Yeah. So fast forward years later, I'm 33 years old at the time. I meet my wife. We're talking. We meet. Blind date style kind of thing. We meet at this coffee shop, we're talking, and she pulls out this rock out of her pocket and she gives it to me. And the rock looks just like this rock that my father had given me when I was a kid.
What?
So it just kind of like sparked something in me.
Wow.
And it reignited my passion just for the mineral kingdom. And I had a bunch of rocks that were in this old lunch pail that I had at my mom's house. So I went over to my mom's house and I dug through her garage and I found this.
Yes,
this
there you go.
I opened it up and I had all my rock collection in there. And I was like, man, I love this. And just like that, I was back.
Never skipped a beat.
Yeah.
See, that right there though is that divine timing. So it's like you meet your then not wife yet, but like she gives you this rock, it causes this kind of memory just to resurface, and then all of a sudden life just opens back up for you, this new opportunity.
Yeah, it really changed my life big time. Just her being there at that time of my life, I needed something to kind of like ground me. I was going a little bit wild at the time, so I needed someone to kind of pull me in and ground me, get me back on track. So working with the rocks and minerals, the tensor technology, the copper stuff, it's actually a technology that someone discovered. The man named Slim Sperling discovered this in the 90s.
Wow.
And he was using it to clear pollution out of the air, to clean water, a bunch of really cool stuff. And a friend of mine from Australia came, and we were talking, we became really good friends, and he makes these tools over there, and he taught me all about them. And I started making them here. And once I started having the tensor technology around my life with the crystals, it just exploded my life in a whole new different direction. I used to work downtown Seattle, high-rise building.
Oh wow, yeah.
Every day, the 9 to 5 kind of thing.
Yeah, the traffic, the technologies, the radiation, all of that.
And we knew that we were sick of it, but we didn't even really realize how sick of it until we got out. And we both quit our jobs, and we moved from Seattle out to Anacortes.
There you go.
We found a spot that we were renting for a few years out in the woods.
Love it.
And yeah, we loved it out there, and it just, once we got out of the city, we really found and discovered who we really are as beings, as spiritual beings. And it's easy to say that we're spiritual beings having a physical experience, but until you really understand it and feel it, then it just makes everything flow so much easier.
That experiential knowing, and once it's actually like you get the taste of it, you're like, no, I can't go back to any of that other nonsense.
I don't even like going to big cities.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, because you can feel it, like as you leave nature, you feel the energy shift.
do.
Like, and it's especially when you get into the city.
It's interference. It feels like tons of interference everywhere.
Yeah.
And one thing to remember, because this has helped me, because I've been in a city and like, oh, this is too much city for me here. But then I remember, I am nature. We are
there you go.
Free beings born on this planet.
Yeah.
We are natural and free. We are nature. So just remember that, like, you can bring the nature. You're surrounded by nature when you're surrounded by yourself, and when you're surrounded by people.
And that's the thing, is in terms of the tensor technology, do you find that almost provides like that protective barrier in terms of dealing with a lot of these energies as well?
So that's what this is. So this is called a sun. It's a sun measurement neck torque.
Okay.
And this just protects. So the neck is the most vulnerable place on the body for attachments and attack. So it protects this area, and it also activates in the third eye, the solar plexus, and the base chakra, and it sends energy through the entire body, and it will help to keep you in your. It helps calm that frequency. It's like twisted pair, like the copper twisted pair wire that they used to use in telephone. They don't really have telephone wires much anymore, but they used to twist it because the twist canceled out interference, and it works the same way. It cancels out that interference, the static frequencies, cancels all that out.
And then the thing is too, is that it's like, it comes back to that mineral kingdom. It's like you're working with earth, you're working with the elements of the earth, and that is just, it's so grounding in and of itself, but then you're also getting the benefits of all the different properties that all the crystals have.
Yeah.
Yo, that's crazy. So does it like amplify it? Because I noticed you got some like you got the Ankh, you got like the sacred geometry going.
Tensor ring. So the tensor ring is twisted coils of copper cut to very specific measurements before the ends are soldered. And whenever you put in the middle of the tensor ring, it's going to be amplified. So you can put crystals in there, and it's going to amplify those properties of those crystals. You can put your, the manifestations in there, and it's going to help to pull and draw those in. Bring it to it. Amplify.
That's dope.
You can speak your spells, your potions. You can speak your visions into the tensors, and it's going to amplify that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And see, this would be really trippy if we had some type of like goggles to see the energy, because I could just like imagine with like the different coils, just the vortex energy that gets.
Yeah, it's a torus shape.
Yeah, exactly. It just amplifies everything within the system.
Yeah.
That's so sick. That's so sick. Well, because I'm looking at the one on your wrist, and I'm just like, yo, that's like the sacred eye. You got like the technology behind it. Yeah, man. It's just like, that's trippy stuff. Like, now in terms of the copper and getting all the resources for it, like, is it you just have your shop set up and you just got like all the different projects everywhere? You got some big ones, small ones, all different sizes?
I didn't have room here because I only had 2 tables, but I also make drums too. So
dope.
I have my copper that I twist up all the time. So I got my copper section, my welding section, and then I have my drum area where I make my drums. Then we have a spot where we clean and cleanse, because when we get our crystals in, we clean all of them, we clear them.
Ooh, there you go.
Because
it's important to know. Important to know.
because crystals will pick up energies of things that they're around.
Yeah.
So it's very important that when you get some, even when you get it from me, and I have good energy, even when you get it from me, man, clear it. This is your crystal now.
Yeah.
You're working with that crystal. Clear it. You can use salt. You can use salt water. You can use smoke. Cleanse it. You can really even just use your intention. And clear that crystal and make it yours. So it's important anytime that you have stuff before you bring it into the house, to work with it. Not just bring in energy that you're not familiar with.
100%. Now, in terms of those that are just getting into like crystals, in terms of just like really just like getting back with like the raw materials of earth and the minerals, what would you say is like a good test point for people? Just like start off with like a ring, a bracelet, a necklace, or just?
Oh, definitely. So you definitely want to get a bracelet.
Yeah.
That's going to help to the bracelets do healing and activation in people. So it's going to attract the things into your life that you need to take those next steps.
There you go.
So, and then obviously just like quartz crystal, super high frequency, powerful protection.
Yeah.
The amethyst, just the rose quartz, just these are the basic stones. Like it's all quartz, it's just quartz in different colors. Different extra minerals inside of it to change the colors and add these different frequencies and energies to it. So yeah, man.
Dude, that's so cool. Now, in terms of the kind of like words of wisdom for those listening is, how do you know if it's the crystal for you?
Okay, so this is what a lot of people do, because I sell a lot of crystals. To a lot of different people.
And they're amazing. You should see them, because there's some giant pieces of labradorite where I'm just like, yo, that's dope. Like, that's so awesome.
If you're looking at something or you pick something up and it feels right to you, and if you feel it, then good. Like I'm someone I'm way more of a energy out than an energy in. Like I don't feel like my wife is very sensitive. She can pick something up. She can feel it right away.
Yeah, she'll be
I
like,
need to
this
sit
one,
with something.
that one.
Exactly. I need to sit with myself for a while to really
Oh,
get
there
that
you go.
feeling.
Interesting.
But I can put a lot of energy out.
Ah.
So the people come and they sit with their stuff. And I have people like one lady came, she picked up a couple different things and she said, can I take these for a while? And she took them over. She sat over at the rest table over there. She just sat with them, trying to find which was going to be the best one for her.
Ooh.
So
Deep.
yeah, just ask yourself. All the answers to everything is inside. You know, just ask yourself and trust yourself. If I had to say one thing, is just trust yourself. Trust your intuition. Trust your inner voice, because that is really what's going to guide you.
Facts. And with that, we'll close, yo. Thank you so much for coming on Creatives
man,
Chat.
thanks for asking.
Yeah, man, appreciate you too, yo. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah,
It's been a
thanks.
pleasure. That's perfect. Okay. So how's it going, Nancy? Welcome to Creatives Chat.
Have we started?
Technically, yeah. We've
Oh,
started.
really?
Yeah. It's a very organic
I
show.
used to have a show and we had to go through a lot more than this. So whatever they're doing, I'm sure it's good, but it could go by fast.
I love it.
So I'm the lady that reads the eyes.
Yes.
My name is Nancy Seals. I've been doing this for almost 50 years. I am a certified and qualified iridologist, and I've had thousands of dollars worth of work done, you know, because you have to go someplace and rent a room and get a teacher and blah, blah, blah. But we're doing it now all by the internet is opened up, so we're doing a lot more. So I've taken on another task, and that's not just reading the colored part of your eye. I
Interesting.
also can read the whites of your eye, and this is what
Wow.
you really want, because all your problems are in the whites. And when you follow the lines in the whites, you can tell if the person is healing. So I want to know why a doctor can't do that.
Right?
You see, you don't, for an iridologist, you don't have to be cut open to check your organs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's almost like the different acupuncture points where different aspects relate to different areas of the body, correct?
Yeah.
In terms of like the locations and where things are formed.
I would do your eyes. You have brown eyes. So,
Kind of like hazily.
excuse me a minute. So if I were you, I would do a very small liver cleanse. There's nothing important there, but you eat clean.
Yeah. See, I was having intuitional vibes for a liver cleanse this whole week.
And other than that, I can't say I'm psychic, but
I've been just feeling it. It's just one of those things where I was just like, I feel like I need to do, because I do 4 big water fasts every year, and one of them's coming up, and I was just been getting the intuitions in my meditation just to do a cleanse. 30.
let me tell you, I would give anything to have eyes as clear as your eyes.
Well, thank you.
At 30, you're amazingly clean. Clean. You don't
Thanks.
eat meat?
No.
See, it's all about what you eat. So anyway,
Wow.
I don't want to say for what I charge, but I love what I do because I put people on the right track.
Yeah.
I find the organ that needs help, and then I look at the rest of them. So each reading is different.
Yeah.
I start with young'uns, but the sclerology is what shows all of the variables on your health, and that's why. And pupil is another thing you can read. So everything that's in a circle you can read, and so and I love these charts. See, your heart is right here. Why I like iridology is it makes sense. Your heart's over here. Well, there it is on the picture.
Wow.
And your lower organs are down here, like your feet.
Yeah.
That's not an organ, but
But there is a correlation to the eyes revealing different parts of the body that will show the different ailments.
a lot of times I will see this quadrant in your iris that's dark, like a piece of pie.
Yeah.
So you read everything from the middle to the outer edge. In sclerology, you read from the outer edge to the iris.
Wow.
And it's really fascinating.
Yeah.
You can read cats and dogs too. I don't do that. I want to do horses, actually.
Yeah, I was gonna say horses. Love it.
They all want me to do horses. So I gotta find the thing, there's schisms for everything. So,
How did you get into this?
my cousin had cancer of the brain. They gave her 90 days to live.
Wow.
We put her in remission in less than 30. She lived 3 years, perfect health.
Wow.
So it depends on your mind too.
Yeah.
But she was ready for another kind of a healing, which now I know how to do those. So people come to me for a reason, but I work with the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
I don't work with other spirits.
Yeah.
I don't care
Clarify
what you
that
do,
one.
but I got a holy one on my side.
I love it. Well, in terms of just this practice, like how long have you been practicing?
Since 1977.
Wow.
Did I? See, the eye is a map.
Yeah.
And you have a map on your forehead, and you have a map here. And your toes are a map. I read toes. I read anything you give me.
That's so cool. Well, I think that's just the aspect of this sacred design.
She said, my client's waiting.
Okay. Well, we don't want to hold you up,
No,
but
you don't want to do that.
it's been so fascinating
Thank
exploring
you.
this
I'd
with
like
you.
to do this again.
Yeah. We
Okay.
can always we'll hop in. We'll definitely have you on the show.
Okay, thank you. Is that running?
Yeah, we're still good.
Thank you, everyone. Just trust your instincts. You can either have a doctor fillet you, or you can come and let me look in your eyes and see what good is going on. Thank you very much.
I love it. Thanks for coming on Creatives Chat, Nancy.
Okay.
We'll definitely tap back in.
Yes, we will.
Thank you. I appreciate it. What a firecracker. Love it.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us in the Emerald Spiral Expo. Roll the outro.
That concludes this episode of Creatives Chat. Thank you for watching. Join us every Thursday at 3:33 p.m. Pacific Daily Time as creative minds get together and chat about who knows what. View more episodes on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks again to our sponsors for making this show possible. Thank you, We Are Historically, for your conscious human apparel. Shop online at wearehistorically.com.
Hi, I'm Darius Wilrich. I'll teach you everything you need to know about playing jazz piano like a pro with my 12-week online video course and downloadable guidebook, Jazz Piano Pro Essentials. Enroll today at jazzpianopro.com.
Thank you for joining us. Have a happy always. And subscribe to be notified of future episodes.
Yeah. Perfect.